Greetings, everyone. This is going to be part 2 of our TikTok guide, specifically for people with visual impairments. So I'll just be going through and reading these and discussing them a little bit better in detail so that there's a little bit more of an understanding behind the do's and don'ts of TikTok. As somebody that has had one of their accounts already banned, I feel like I'm a little bit qualified to talk about these things and what's accepted and what's not accepted and what is encouraged and not encouraged. This is future Jake again. I just wanted to go back in and make a note that I definitely laugh a few times while I'm reading some of these, and that is because I feel like they don't really do a great job at enforcing these things. This is due in part to their auto moderation features that in part rely on community to file reports, some of which can be fraudulent reports, as well as I feel like sometimes they're very biased about who they enforce these rules for. But because this is on our website, I figured it would be worth just mentioning that at least in this video, take a lot of this with a grain of salt. You know, this isn't a definitive guide, but this is a decent walkthrough of what you should avoid and what you should try and do while you're using TikTok. So, we're just going to hop right into it. If you have any questions or any comments or critiques, please let me know down below in the comments. Just starting with their basic community guideline.
Mission and vision.
TikTok aims to inspire creativity and bring joy by unlocking human imagination through creative expression and entertainment.
Community guideline.
The guidelines are designed to ensure a safe, trustworthy, and vibrant experience informed by legal frameworks, best practices, and community input.
Content moderation.
TikTok's content moderation is based on the 4 pillars to balance expression and prevent harm, enforced through rules and platform resources.
Core value.
Their core value is that users are encouraged to be kind and treat others as they would like to be treated, supporting TikTok's goal of maintaining a welcoming space.
Expression versus harm prevention.
In their community principles, they express that they strive to balance freedom of expression with the prevention of harm to its community.
Human dignity.
The platform is committed to upholding human dignity in all its actions and content moderation.
Fairness.
TikTok's community principle regarding fairness states, ensuring fairness in enforcement decisions is a guiding principle for TikTok.
Alignment with international standards.
TikTok also strives for alignment with international standards, so TikTok's practices are informed by international frameworks like the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights and the International Bill of Human Rights.
Civility and Safety.
TikTok's Community Guidelines page emphasizes the importance of civility in physical and psychological safety for individual well-being and community thriving. It advocates for respectful engagement and recognizes everyone's inherent dignity. So by this principle, you should know and be aware that if anybody ever comes into your community and they seem to have malintentions, they seem like they want to cause harm, they might be trying to clone your account, whatever it might be, you are allowed to report them to the TikTok administration, and hopefully they will take action on any harmful users.
Violence and threats.
Their safety and civility section outlines a strict policy against violent threats, incitement to violence, and promotion of criminal activities that may harm people, animals, or property. Credible threats are reported to law enforcement.
Hateful behavior.
The platform does not tolerate any hateful behavior, hate speech, or promotion of hateful ideologies, especially those targeting individuals or groups based on protected attributes.
Youth protection.
There is a strong stance against youth exploitation and abuse, with measures in place to report incidents and provide support to victims. The platform also respects gender equity and intimate privacy, prohibiting sexual exploitation and gender-based violence.
Community well-being.
In their mental and behavioral health section, they say TikTok prioritizes a well-being of its community, fostering happiness, enrichment, and a sense of belonging.
Suicide and self-harm.
The platform prohibits content that shows or promotes suicide or self-harm and provides support resources for those in need.
Body image and eating disorders.
TikTok discourages content that promotes negative body image or disordered eating and restricts content related to cosmetic surgery without risk warnings.
Dangerous challenges.
The app does not allow content that shows or promotes dangerous activities and challenges that could lead to significant physical harm.
Content diversity.
In terms of sensitive and mature themes, TikTok hosts a range of content from family-friendly to mature, adapting to cultural and developmental contexts globally.
Sexual content.
TikTok prohibits sexual activity or services but allows reproductive health and sex education content.
Nudity restrictions.
No nudity is allowed, with specific definitions for intimate body parts and semi-nudity reflecting cultural practices.
Creative expression.
TikTok supports creative expression while restricting sexually suggestive content by young people and explicit language.
Community trust.
In their integrity and authenticity section, they state, the platform aims to foster a community of trust and accountability, allowing for diverse opinions but operating on a shared set of facts and reality.
Misinformation policy.
Content with misinformation causing significant harm is not allowed. Fact checkers and public health authorities help assess accuracy.
Election integrity.
Misinformation affecting civic and electoral processes is prohibited to prevent voter interference and ensure peaceful power transfer.
AI content regulation.
AI-generated content must be labeled to distinguish fact from fiction, with restrictions on harmful or misleading AI-generated media. So just a personal note here, we made several posts that were VOD edits. They were just old VODs from the Living in a Wheelchair channel, and we posted them, and when we used the text-to-speech feature to read out our captions that we made using TikTok, they claimed it was AI-generated content. But when we didn't use text-to-speech through TikTok's editor, it did not flag it as AI content. Now, obviously, Roger wasn't a robot. I'm not a robot. We didn't use robots to make any of those clips. But for some reason, using their text-to-speech on a old clip, for some reason, triggered this. So I just wanted to make a little note that if you're going to re-upload clips of your Twitch content or your YouTube material in short form onto TikTok, that you would either very minimally use their text-to-speech, if at all. Another workaround that you could do here is just to record a brief talking head with yourself. This is the real important part, is that, in like warming your account like I talked about in part 1, you want to be able to prove that you're an actual human being that's running the account and not just a robot that's reposting stuff from all over the internet. So if you have Twitch or YouTube content that you would like to post in short form version, you can just start your video off by asking a question to your camera. It can be no more than 5 seconds, just like what do you guys think of this clip? Or watch me play this game with my mouth, or whatever it might be, and that will be good enough to prove that you're an actual human on the account.
Content moderation.
TikTok moderates content related to health and finances to prevent harm and misinformation.
Gambling policy.
Promotion of gambling services is prohibited to protect users from potential addiction and financial loss.
Substance regulations.
There's a strict policy against promoting recreational drug use, alcohol, tobacco products, and regulated substances.
Weapon safety.
TikTok educates on responsible weapon use and prohibits trade content that could lead to severe injury or death. On this topic, we actually have a friend, Eddie Mancuso, or TA5172, that actually got their first TikTok account banned after a viewer reported them for promoting the trade of weapons on their live account, while he had very clearly stated he had never done such a thing. Not to get political here, but if you are pro-gun or pro self-defense using certain weapons, it's best to just keep that kind of discussion to yourself. I know that that seems like an encroachment on your First Amendment rights and your Second Amendment rights, but it's just something that on such a diverse application, you're going to get a very mixed bag of an audience, and if you just rub one person the wrong way, they can make a report about you. So it's just best to be safe as you possibly can.
Trade facilitation.
The platform disallows facilitating trade of regulated, prohibited, or high-risk goods and services.
Disclosure requirements.
Creators must disclose any material relationship when promoting goods or services to maintain transparency.
Fraud prevention.
TikTok is committed to protecting its community from scams and financial exploitation by prohibiting fraudulent activities.
Privacy protection.
TikTok is committed to protecting users' privacy and personal information, ensuring the platform remains secure and trustworthy.
Content sharing.
Users are advised to be cautious about sharing personal information that could lead to stalking, violence, phishing, fraud, identity theft, or financial exploitation. Once again, going back to this, we've had 2 friends so far, maybe 3 friends, that have had their accounts cloned, and people were posing to be them trying to raise funds fraudulently. So this is something that you have to be very conscious of. You have to recruit your community to file reports on your behalf. You have to make it very clear that you are a human being that's running your account in order so that you don't get banned and that person gets to keep your channel's identity and cause.
Platform integrity.
Unauthorized access, attempts to obtain sensitive information, and abuse of TikTok's security features are prohibited.
Safety measures.
Users should avoid suspicious links and requests for personal details and can learn about TikTok's privacy and security approach on the platform.
Personalized recommendations.
Regarding the For You feed eligibility standards, the For You feed, or FYF, on TikTok uses a personalized system to recommend content, considering factors like likes, shares, and comments. They also consider what hashtags you use and who you follow.
Content patterns.
To protect users, TikTok interrupts repetitive patterns of potentially problematic content such as extreme fitness or sadness.
Eligibility standards.
TikTok maintains standards for You feed content, prioritizing safety and cultural norms, and excludes certain themes for a broad audience. So this is on the more mature side. It's not impossible to get included in a For You feed if you have mature material or you have a history of posting mature material, but it's also significantly more difficult to.
Youth content.
Content from creators under 16 is not eligible for You feeds to provide a safe exploration space for young users.
Age requirements.
Users must be 13 years and older to have an account, with additional age limitations in some regions. The US has a separate under 13 experience with extra safety protection.
Account bans.
Regarding account bans, accounts can be banned for severe violations, repeated violations, circumvention, or operation of accounts dedicated to prohibited activities. So, on the topic of account bans, I ran the Stream Your Care account, which was the TikTok account that got banned. I was using leet speak because I was saying words like negligence and abuse, and talking about elder abuse awareness. And I guess the combination of using leet speak and talking about such sensitive topics might have offended somebody and somebody reported me, or just auto moderation caught all the different things that we were saying. On top of like reposting old material that was recycled from our Twitch channel and our YouTube page, I think that all of these things, along with the fact that they had flagged some of our content as AI content. Oh, and then just one last thing I can mention here. The very final video that I posted on that account before it got banned was this one.
Okay, are you recording me?
Yeah, you're online, yeah.
Okay, well, I prefer you don't do that.
So I'm assuming that what had happened was they detected the text in, the speech in that video and heard that someone was saying, I don't want to be recorded, and I guess someone might have actually said something about it, even though we censored them out and we did everything that we could to make sure that their anonymity was protected.
Off-platform activity.
Account bans may also consider off-platform activity related to violence, hate, and child exploitation, with reports to law enforcement if necessary.
Content visibility.
The repeated posting of content that is allowed but not eligible for the For You feed may make the account and its content less discoverable. This is definitely the case with the Stream Your Care account, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Faulkner Fellowship account too. Again, reposting recycled content from Twitch, Twitch clips, YouTube VODs, and so on and so forth. Without a talking head at the front of it, I was much less of a fan about being in front of the camera when I first started these accounts. I think if I did it now, I would do a talking head in the beginning and just talk about, oh my God, you'll never believe this, and then, show the clip of what it was. But it's very true. Like, they will limit your account. They will limit your exposure if you violate their rules, if you don't warm your account, if you spam like or spam follow people. It makes it much harder for your account and its content to be discovered.
Monetization and commercial content.
Users must be 18 to use monetization features, and all commercial content must comply with TikTok's policies. Violations can lead to restrictions or bans.
Public interest content.
Public interest content that informs, inspires, or educates the community or significant matters may be exempt from standard rules.
Context consideration.
Contextual elements like captions and voiceovers are crucial in evaluating content for public interest exceptions. This is something that I've definitely fumbled the bag on.
Safety measures.
Certain content may feature additional safeguards such as opt-in screens, but extreme harm content is not exempt.
Enforcement and appeals.
Content is reviewed against guidelines using technology and human oversight, with options for notification and appeal for content violation. Once again, if you ever get into trouble with TikTok, or if somebody tries to get you in trouble with TikTok, if you have a cyberbully or a troll or just somebody that has malicious intent in your live stream comments or in your post comments, it's really important to get your community involved, even if it's just one friend or one family member. If two people make a report about somebody's account, whether they're trying to be malicious or if they're just being verbally abusive, it will go a very extra long way to actually have a human review that content rather than just, using some kind of auto moderation system like they do normally. So, you know, aside from these guidelines, I would say, my last few major tips are just use TikTok as it's designed. Make sure that you're exploring and using the search and looking for different people that are both like you and unlike you. If you're fascinated with technology, follow, small and big accounts that report about technology or that talk about different aspects of technology. But, if you have like a disability or if you are aging or your medical staff, whatever it might be, make sure that you are doing due diligence to not just follow those kind of people and to follow a wide range of individuals, not all at once, but over time as you post more and more. I would say the contrasting point to that is that you should not spend all of your time on TikTok. As a consumer, as a live streamer, as somebody that's posting that application, while there are many pros to using it somewhat regularly, like almost every day, the cognitive dissonance that you experience from being exposed to such contrarian information at such volumes can be very detrimental to not just your mental health, but your growth as a content creator I think that it kind of functions like Reddit in that way that, you see just as much division and indifference in the comments of TikTok posts and the content that's being shared on TikTok as you do any Reddit thread. It doesn't really matter if it's a political thread or a non-political thread. Try and not exceed 1 to 3 posts. This is something that I should have included in the last video, but don't exceed 3 posts in a day and try to spread them out throughout the day if you can. There are different tools that you can use to schedule your posts. You can even use TikTok like native settings to schedule your post for later in the day, if I'm not mistaken. But this is going to make, kind of reassure TikTok's moderation settings that you're not just a bot recycling old content from the internet and that you're actually a genuine content creator that's making content, whether you use CapCut or InShot or the TikTok app. This is going to be very helpful to your account. And something else that's worth noting here, and maybe this is also something that I should have included in the first one, is that do not make it a goal every single day to make 3 posts. There's a method in web design, but it translates over to any gig economy field, and that's that you have a certain amount of time every single day that you are able to put out your best material. And we're busy people. We have a lot of things going on. So there are going to be certain days that putting out your best material or something that you would be proud of, it just isn't going to happen. Life gets busy. We end up taking on extra emotional baggage, and it's important to be aware of one, your cognitive closure when your brain just like shuts off at the end of the day when you've had enough. It stops functioning as it's intended and it goes into like a suboptimal version of functioning. So it really helps to use time blocking. Use time blocking as a nice way to be able to very simply set aside, an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours in a day, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, where you work on making the content for the entire week. Whether you post, 5 days a week or 7 days a week, it doesn't matter, but you'll only really need to make 6 or 9 pieces of content at a time during that hour, or if you go 2 hours, then you could probably make 12 or 15 videos in that period of time. But keep it really simple and just, again, be very, very mindful of when you're in the idea creation stage, when you time block out a certain amount of time, it's really important to, apply the mentality of like a toddler that's sitting in its a toy room and you have all these toys in front of you and you have no idea how to properly use any of them, right? There's not really a wrong way that you can play with the toys. Or if you have instruments, you haven't learned music theory yet, so you just like slap on them and you run your hand across it and you play all these weird scales and stuff that don't even exist. That's how you should approach the idea creation stage. You throw crap at the wall and some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. And then after your idea creation stage has concluded, then you take the rest of the time that you have and compile the best ideas, make short talking heads for the intros, and then schedule them out to post for the next few days. Once again, if you have any questions about any of the guidelines that we talked about, or if you have any questions about the content creation process, we're always here. Just reach out to us at team@streamyourcare.com. And thank you very much for watching.